Introducing the artificial meteorologist.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. The Name Your Price tool provides a range of coverage options. Progressive.com. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
I'm David Brancaccio in Los Angeles. Good morning to you. First, a roll of steel or aluminum from another country purchased for $1,000 gets a $500 import duty at the U.S. border starting now. That is double the previous tax, so a $1,000 item now costs the importer $1,500. It's the latest of President Trump's volley of tariffs, one that uses a strategy that does not face a pressing possibility of being overturned in court. Marketplace's Henry Epp now on businesses looking to adapt.
Manufacturers aren't just going to switch to domestic suppliers, says Aaron McLaughlin, senior economist at the Conference Board, because those suppliers can't expand steel and aluminum factories overnight. That takes years.
You need capital, you need labor, you need good infrastructure. All of those things are sort of under constraint right now.
So she says, for now, a lot of companies will try to delay any big orders to see if the tariffs actually stick around.
But there will come a time when they need that inventory and they will have to purchase it and it will be at a higher price.
And she says they'll pass at least some of that extra cost ultimately to U.S. consumers. But the impact won't just be felt by companies that sell to Americans, says Jason Miller at Michigan State University.
The biggest concern is the impact it has on the export market for the U.S.
Because manufacturers that export have to compete with companies in other countries. For example, a European machinery company, Miller says.
This European machinery manufacturer is not paying these inflated costs of materials. And so all things equal, that European manufacturer is now more competitive.
Which hurts U.S. manufacturers selling in global markets. I'm Henry Epp for Marketplace.
The White House is working to formalize some funding cuts it's been pursuing. Yesterday, it asked Congress to pull back more than $9 billion. That does include funding for foreign aid and public TV and radio. Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer joins us now.
Well, David, this formal process of taking money back Congress already appropriated is called rescission. And since Congress has the power of the purse, only lawmakers can officially take money back. The rescission process is laid out in a law. Once the president sends a rescission request to Congress, the clock starts ticking, and lawmakers have 45 days to approve it. They only need a simple majority, though, and that avoids a Senate filibuster.
Nancy, we know the rescission request pulls back money already allocated to public broadcasting. How much?
Yeah, about $1 billion would be taken back from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds public radio and PBS. The remaining $8 billion or so would come from cuts to foreign aid, and that reportedly includes money for things like reproductive health and support for LGBTQ communities.
And is Congress likely to go along with this?
Well, lawmakers usually reject rescission requests. After all, they're the ones who approved the funding in the first place. But this request has House Speaker Mike Johnson's support. In his social media post, he said it'll be on the House floor next week. Some moderate Republicans in the Senate may object, though.
Nancy Marshall-Genzer, thanks. Ahead of the official jobs report, the ADP payroll company's Prequel, out just now, finds job creation slowed sharply in May, with just 37,000 more people getting paychecks. That is the weakest showing in 2 years and about a third of what was expected. Tariff uncertainty is likely part of this. This ADP report can be out of sync with the Bureau of Labor Statistics calculations due on Friday. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures have turned slightly negative on that weakness. This also implies less inflation, and the bond market is up, allowing the 10-year interest rate to drift below 4.4%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by WSJ Plus, a news bundle offering global insights and market tools from 4 business and finance publications so readers can explore every angle. And by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com.
Microsoft has unveiled a weather forecasting approach that makes predictions using artificial intelligence. Google and NVIDIA, both of California, and Huawei out of Shenzhen, China, are already trying to use AI to make weather predictions more precise. And as hurricane season gets underway, Daniel Ackerman explains what it could mean for the economy.
For years, weather forecasting has been based on physics. That means millions of calculations about how heat and moisture move through the atmosphere. But these new AI models,
most of them don't have any physics in them at all.
Amy McGovern is a professor of meteorology at the University of Oklahoma. She says that while the AI forecasts don't know much about how weather works, they're great at recognizing patterns.
They're trained on 40 or 50 years of data, and so they are learning, given some amount of history, what's going to happen next.
And she says they're pretty good at that, often on par with or better than traditional forecasts. And since they're not doing all those physics calculations,
it's really, really fast to run them.
McGovern says that could give people more lead time before a storm.
If you could get your hailstorm warning up from 15 minutes to an hour, you would have more time to prepare.
You could move your car into a garage.
But, some of us have to clean our garage out before we do that, and we need more than 15 minutes.
But she says the AI models still have room for improvement. Some are not great at predicting small-scale local events like tornadoes, says Renato Molina, an environmental economist at the University of Miami.
They're still pretty far, particularly when it comes to predicting wind speeds.
And that also applies to hurricane forecasting, where predicting wind speed matters.
Because that's one of the key drivers of damage.
Still, the companies behind these new AI models are betting they'll come to reliably outperform traditional forecasts. And that's something plenty of customers would be willing to pay for. Customers like insurance companies, says Tatiana Derugina, a finance professor at the University of Illinois.
Because seemingly small differences in the model can make big differences for insurers' bottom line. And if you're not modeling the risk granularly enough, you could be on the line to lose a lot of money.
Ultimately, though, Derugina says the success of this forecasting will depend in part on whether people trust AI to do the job.
If people are going to decide whether they evacuate or not, how much they trust the forecast is going to matter.
Derugina says a forecast that no one acts on is not a very useful one. I'm Daniel Ackerman for Marketplace.
And in Los Angeles, I'm David Brancaccio. It's the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.